Hi, and welcome to episode 3, the next episode of Nell's Epic Business Show. And today I have Karen Palmer with us from Abstract Creative Studio. Welcome, Karen.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So, Karen, to start us off with, tell us a little bit more about you and the business.
Okay, so the business is Abstract Creative Studio and we are a graphic design agency. So obviously graphic design, so that's what we do. We did start off as abstract print and design, but we've now had clarification on our offering and service and rebranded earlier this year. So that's how that makes us Abstract Creative Studio.
How long have you been in business for?
So this is a bit of a moment where actually in May this year it will be 8 years.
I can't believe it's 8 years already.
I know, I've kept saying 7 for like the last few months and I'm like, oh god, it's May again in the next couple of months. So yes,
Yeah.
8 years in May.
Wonderful. Oh, some good experiences that I'm sure we'll talk through in a minute. Now, talk us through what inspired you to start the business, because just quickly, I guess, for anyone watching this, give us a quick sort of setup of the business.
Okay, so yes, so Abstract is not my actual business. Abstract is my daughter's business, Tara, and Tara started this business when she was 21. So she did college, was offered a place in university, but also at the same time offered a place in employment through graphic design. She went down the employment route. And she was very fortunate that she was given lots of opportunities whilst doing her graphic design role to be involved on the business parts of the business through her manager. And she very, very quickly found out that she wanted more than just to sit and design, I guess. And she was getting a little bit frustrated because her involvement on the business side wasn't being carried out maybe as she thought it should be. And yeah, so she lived at home at the time, came home several times, but then this one last day she came home and said, oh, I could do all this for myself and make it work better or whatever, all the energy she was given. And I was like, do it then. That was a very quiet moment for a minute and a question of, seriously? And I went, why not? You live at home, you've not got anything to pay for as such. Give it a go. If it doesn't work, go and get a job.
At that stage, so when Tara started the business, what made you then decide to equally jump in the business with her to support her? What was your thinking then?
So I wasn't ever going to be a part of this business. Obviously being mum and it's starting off at our home at the dining room table, as a lot of new businesses do. Yep. I've got a lot of managerial skills, management skills from my previous employments, and I supported her in the background with like helping with writing a business plan and setting up the business, sort of all the admin side, if you like. She went out and sought the advice, but I helped in the background to put pen to paper with her. And then basically, as the business launched in May 2014, she was running it. I was in a full-time job, but evenings and weekends I would do a few invoices, a bit of admin, you know, build up the database with the details, all that sort of thing, just to support her, and also all the things that a creative person does not want to do. So yeah, and I was quite happy doing that, but then the business grew and developed to a point where her on her own day to day couldn't cope with doing all the design requirements, out meeting new clients and all the other bits that go with running a business. And I think we got to October time and she was just like, I need someone sort of part-time or whatever to do all what you're doing, but there's more and I need more taken off of me. Ideally, Mum, I'd like that to be you. And I was like, oh, that wasn't really in my plan. So yeah, so there was a few conversations and obviously a lot of thinking. I'd been in my current job then for 21 years. It wasn't anything to do with graphic design. I've always worked in supporting people with disabilities of varying types. So yes, had to have a bit of a think, but I was always also at a point of my life where I was thinking, I've probably got another 20 plus years of working left, and is it good to have a change now? Anyway, long story short, I gave my notice and left my job that Christmas, and then became employed by my daughter in the January 2015.
What one word would you use to describe your business experience so far?
I'm going to say exciting.
Tell me a bit more.
So I obviously wasn't in a great place in the last few years of my previous employment. I'd obviously come to an end, but you just carry on because it's all that you know.
Yeah.
And as much as entering this side of my life and felt I was totally out of depth on like knowing anything about graphic design, etc. So that was scary. And obviously I didn't want to be the reason that it didn't succeed because of my lack of ability, maybe. I'm a terrible person for not having self-confidence. And everyone around me is like, why? But anyway, but I say exciting because I don't feel like I'm going to work every day. There's challenges, don't get me wrong, and there are stressful moments, and there are probably tears in the background occasionally here and there, but I do not feel like I'm getting up to go to work every day and do a job. It's part of my life now, and obviously one of my desires is for Abstract to be successful for my daughter's future. Yeah. And I know that I won't always be in Abstract and be a part of that future, but if I can do whatever it is I can do to help that happen, then that is a major drive for me and passion. And so it's exciting.
I love that. Oh, makes me go all funny, that. You've already alluded to, and we know this, right? We all hang out with other business owners. Starting a business is not plain sailing. Starting a business with someone in your family can definitely bring some other challenges with them. So what are some of the challenges that you ladies have faced in these 8 years that you've had the business?
Oh, probably quite a few, actually. Let's try and whittle it down. So I think initially the main one, and unfortunately Tara takes this from me, and it's such a shame, and I'm trying to knock it out of her at an earlier age, but is self-confidence, self-belief. We both struggle with that. And for all of the people that know us, they question why we do, because apparently we don't come across in that way, and we shouldn't come across in that way. But it's always been something of mine that I've struggled with, and I now see it in Tara. But I do believe that she's a lot more confident and in a better place than I was at her age now at nearly 30. I think it took me till 40 plus to be where I'm feeling a bit more comfortable in my own skin, if you like, and I can do this, and but challenges, so obviously, not obviously at all, those of you that don't know, but we have a team. So there's 4 of us. There's Tara, the owner, myself, business operations, and then we have 2 graphic designers in the team. One of which has been with us for just over 6 years now, and the other one just 2+ years. But then taking on staff is a challenge. And I will, before I say anything else, say how lucky we are with our team. Obviously, again, in my previous job, I had 90 people under me, and we are so lucky. Some of the challenges I've dealt with in the past, we really are, and I am so thankful for that, and thankful to them, because I know that it's difficult having staff and team at times. But they both buy into Abstract. They love Abstract. They know the vision of Abstract, and their drive and enthusiasm is amazing. So yes, there has still been challenges, but nothing to what you could have. So so team is one, just the responsibility, if nothing else, of employing people. That alone is just one that sits there. Other challenges. I remember naively, and this is on one of your growth clubs when we first started coming as a new business, people in the room that had been in business for very sort of many more years than us were like talking about cash flow, and like Tara and I remember we just sat there and looked at each other and like, what's their problem? Why have they got a problem with cash flow? Like you invoice the job, you get paid for the job, the money comes in, done, move on, sort of thing.
Yeah.
No, as the business develops, it doesn't quite flow like that. And then obviously because the business develops, you then have more outgoings and costs. So whether that's staff wages and software, whatever, website hosting, accountancy bills. So we are now experiencing cash flow and what a challenge that can be at times. Yeah. And yes, so I'm just going to say that one right now because it's a current one that gets talked about a lot. So, and it's just about learning how to manage that, how to forecast correctly, which again, as a new business, you don't quite get your head around until you've worked in it a few years, you've got some data, etc. So, yeah, so I would say team and cash flow, but both for various different reasons.
And actually that nicely, normally one of my questions is what's one thing that you found really unexpected when you started the business versus where you are now? What's one thing that's really jumped out or that's really surprised you? Would cash flow be your main one, or is it something else?
I would say cash flow is, because I've always been the person dealing with the financial side. Tara's always been an overlooker, onlooker, whatever you want to call, and been a part of it, but she's also been trusting of me and slightly detached, I guess is what I want to say. And again, it's one of those things a creative person doesn't enjoy looking at, hates spreadsheets. So I now have to make them in pretty colours just to make them a bit more enticing. But in the last couple of years, she's obviously developed in herself, the business has developed and things. So she's like, actually, I need to have a handle on this as well. And actually, it's not fair that it's all on your shoulders. And she's really sort of come on board a lot more. And I don't want to be detrimental to that because she was never like not interested, but basically some of it she didn't even understand is probably it. And that's just learning and growing and developing, again, starting a business at a very young age. But again, it's been a big focus that we've grown and developed with the support of yourself again, and all these lovely spreadsheets you keep introducing. And don't get me wrong, I love a spreadsheet, but I don't love 10. And
don't know what you mean, Karen.
So yes, I would say it's, but I think you never know it all, do you? And you can't forecast for the unexpected, but you can have a jolly good go. So it's never going to be perfect, it's never going to be right, and there's still going to be surprises. But I would say we're in a better place than ever now in understanding all of that.
How long would you say it's taken you to really, and like you say, you don't know what you don't know, and you never know everything. So right now, today, there is stuff that we don't know that by tomorrow we will understand a bit better. But how long would you say it's taken you to really get a bit of a grasp of understanding how business works?
Yeah, so as I say, we're coming up for 8 years in May. I reckon it's only the last couple of years we've properly got a handle on it and an understanding of it, and actually, oh, if you look at that, you can do that or not do that, and that tells you that story and such. Like, up until then, it was like we had all the figures, but they weren't telling us the proper vision or picture or story, whatever language you want to use. And it's, I would say, only in the last couple of years that we're like, oh, that's what we needed to know way back then, or that's what people were talking about. Do you know what I mean? I would say it's only the last 2 years that it's all starting to like become, the fog is clearing, if you like. There's still always more you can learn and do, I know, but yeah, the last couple of years, and probably again that's because Tara's developed and got into the business in a different place, and so we're working on it together more than me on my own, and two people, two sets of eyes is better than one, as they say.
Yeah.
And then we've obviously got another set of eyes with you. So, but there's only so much a person can do. And like anything, even a designer, like the girls sit here and design on something and they just get blocks and don't know where to go next. And it's not until they say, oh, just take a look at my screen a minute, is there anything standing out to you that's like not right? And someone, even me, that's not a designer, I can go, oh, well, what about if you did that with that? And they're like, thank you, that really helps, because you get tunnel vision.
Yeah, totally. Now, I'm just going to pick something up, because you've, on a couple of occasions now, you've alluded or talked about Tara having developed as a business owner. You've talked about your kind of development as well. And I just wanted to pick up when you now look back, what are some of the key areas where you go, actually, these have been vital for our development, or what areas have you really developed compared to where you were 8 years ago?
As in me, a person. Okay, so confidence is a major thing, as I said right at the beginning. Story of my life, and my stepfather, who sadly has passed away now, but he was a great believer in me, and he could see in me what I couldn't see in me, and he was forever like pushing me, encouraging me when I had self-doubt. And yeah, so I think the coaching has definitely helped for sure, because again, I'll sit on sessions and like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I can't do that. Well, no, I don't want to do that. And then there's the questions, well, why not? Why can't you? Why wouldn't you want to do that? All sorts of questions come back. And then that gets a little cogs going away in the head. And then it's just like, well, of course I can do that. Or it's not as bad as I think. So over time, I think the coaching has generally helped me to see that I can and believe that I can, for sure. The other side of it that's really helped me is, and this is really weird as well, is not weird, but just I never read books before. And in lockdown, you introduced book club. I believe we're about nearly at the point where that's been running for 2 years now.
Yeah.
So
2 years in May, June.
Yeah. May's a significant month here. For other reasons too now. I didn't even read fiction or anything. I hated reading. If anything, it made my eyes drop and send me to sleep just with boredom. Couldn't get into books. Joined book club just as a thing in lockdown, so give it a go, and straight into business books of all things as well. So, you know, and I do believe, I had a little count up the other day, and I think I've read, not exactly, because I think I missed one or two, but I think I've read around 23 books.
Wow.
In nearly 24 months, because I have doubled up a couple of times. And when I first started reading, you will remember, like I struggled to read 5 pages at a time, because I lost focus, couldn't get into it, whatever. And I used to tab it to break it down, and then work out, well, that's going to take me 20 days to read this book or something if I follow my guide.
I love how you used to separate all of them out. It's so meticulous. 5 pages a day.
It worked though, because as book club was looming closer, if I fell behind, I was like, well, I need to get off 2 of those tabs today, because so it did work. But now I don't tab, I pick it up. I actually, like, my husband says to me, oh, what are you doing this Saturday or something? What should we do? And I was like, well, I don't mind what we do, but I need to sit down and read for an hour because I want to, or, you know, I actually am enjoying it. And it's, I feel a bit weird saying it really. But so all of that is a massive achievement. And I think just that as well has helped with my self-belief and confidence, and given me more knowledge and things that I can use and work on and adapt into the business. Just given me another side of a hobby, part of my life, but self-development as well, that then I can utilize. I'm actually enjoying it. So, and even when you announce books that I'm like, oh no, I'm terrible for judging before I start, and then like I'm part the way through, and I'm like, oh, actually there's a couple that weren't, but 9 times out of 10, so that's really helped me, I think, and helped me in the business with some of the things that I would steer away from and say I'm not doing, and one of those is sales.
I was actually, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to say, you alluded earlier to, there's a couple of areas of where I would have said, oh, I can't do this, and then, you know, I might question what makes you say that. What are some of these things? Can you give us like one or two really quick examples of something?
Yeah, one is sales for sure. Never ever wanted that to be a role in the business for me, and I've been adamant about that until about last year. So the books have definitely helped with that. Given me sort of some of the tools, if you like, and also actually, yeah, I can do this, and now putting it into practice with calls and just speaking to people at networking, and my involvement in the business the last couple of years. So again, for people that don't know, we had a focus week a couple of years ago before COVID, where Tara and I took ourselves away from the business and did a proper business review plan, etc. And that's kind of where the rebrand and everything got born into and such like. But that itself really helped me, and now I'm involved in all aspects of the business, like our marketing strategist reviews and things I get involved in, and obviously all the coaching and just every area of the business. So I feel more confident when talking to people about what our service is and what we're providing to our customers, where before I was like, don't ask me that question, I don't know, and I'm a bit scared and don't know what to say. And so no, I feel a lot more confident. So sales. And the other one, networking. I did used to do a lot of networking, then I kind of came away from it, and I'm now a BNI member. So yes, and I was adamant that that wasn't going to happen either last year. And after encouraged, and I'm just going to say encouraged, I wasn't bullied or persuaded in any way ever against my will, but encouraged, and I went and I joined. So, and again, that was all down to me making that decision. So yeah. But
also in that growth of confidence. That growth of confidence has led you to go and actually go, you know what, I can do this.
And now doing it is helping the confidence further.
Yeah.
So win-win.
So actually confidence is a nice sort of underlying growth area that's helped you in the business. And that's really why I wanted you on today's podcast, because I've seen a massive change in you in the last couple of years. And, you know, standing on the sidelines, it's easy because I can see why, but I wanted to bring someone on who's not running the business, but you've got so involved with the business and you've equally grown in a similar kind of way than I would expect some of the business owners that I'd be working with, at least, to do the same thing. So it's been amazing to watch that despite it not being your business, that you've kind of gone through that same journey.
I mean, Tara is not officially down anywhere, she's a sole trader. But Tara will speak of us as partners. So, and I feel like a partner now, where before I'd always say it's my daughter's, and I will still say that because I respect it's her business, but I feel and I operate in a way that I'm as much involved in a part of the business as she is now, where before I never saw myself like that. But on the back foot of that, I totally get and appreciate that it is my daughter's business, and I respect that fully, and any final says and decisions come down to her, but we generally make them all together.
And I would agree with that. I'd definitely say that you know, for me, this is a partnership. This is not a Tara's technically on paper the owner, but for me this is very much a partnership, and it more has become a partnership in the last few years. So as we're talking a lot about education anyway, when you now look back, Karen, to when you were at school, what were some of the subjects that you studied at school that have come in handy whilst running a business?
I loved science.
Okay.
And I guess maybe with science you have to be quite methodical, especially chemistry. So I would say maybe some of that, because I'm a very methodical person. I love a process. So I would say that for sure. It's funny, and I always say this to people and the girls here, but I wanted, when we had our options at school, and it's all changed now, as in different levels and things. I mean, we was doing O levels, not even half the kids don't know what they are now. So, but when we went to take our options to what O levels we wanted to do, I wanted to do art as one of them. And my mum and stepfather kicked against that and basically told me I wasn't doing it. And they, I'm going to say, made me take French as a subject, which I was very unhappy about. And silly, really, because it would have been a great benefit in some form, I guess, but I kicked against that. So I purposely made sure I didn't do well in French. And at the time I had a brace on my teeth, and it was one you could take in and out, and not like they are now. But I purposely got excused from class because unfortunately I've broken my brace, miss. And I kept breaking my brace to get out of lessons. And then I purposely didn't revise, and I purposely got ungraded. Because I wanted to prove to them that I wasn't happy that they made me do that. And
Elias Karen.
I know. So, and still to this day, I think about it and I'm like, just let me have done art. So when I went to college to study supporting, at the time it was children with disabilities that I wanted to focus on, you had other subjects to fill up your timetable, because like college now, apparently you don't have to go full time. We had to go Monday to Friday 9 till 4 sort of thing, and you had to have a full timetable. And I was like, well, I'm only wanting to go to college for this thing, and it only like filled up, I don't know, half of my timetable for the week. And I was like, well, I'm not filling my head with other stuff that's going to like take my focus away from that and those studies. So that's where I kind of had a bit more say, because I was 16, and so I did crochet and O-level pottery.
As you do.
But they were arty, weren't they?
Yeah.
Crafty. And I have got a bit of a crafty side to me. I'm never going to be a graphic designer, A, because I don't want to be, and B, yeah, that's a bit too much. But I do have a crafty side. Like now I go to a flower workshop. I love that side, and I've done a macrame workshop and things like that, or macrame, whichever way is the right way to say it. But yeah, so I have got a crafty sort of creative element to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I filled up my, and I actually got the B in my pottery, and I was very proud of that.
Fabulous. Well done. And actually that naturally leads me on to now being part of the business you are, and I'm just classing you as the same as a business owner here, but what subjects do you feel kids either that isn't being taught at schools at all that you think would help them if they wanted a career in business instead of having a career in corporate, or what would be one that is being taught where you go, actually, this could be really beneficial for anyone that's considering becoming a business owner?
So I'll just say I'm a little bit out of touch about what's going on in school right now, because my kids are 29 and 23. So, and I haven't got any little people yet. So one on the way.
It's coming.
They're still not going to be at school for a while. So I am out of touch with what's going on at school and education and what they're doing. But whether it's happening or not, I strongly recommend there should be some sort of lesson on finance, whether that's initially for personal finance, because a lot of children, I think, come out of school, I know mine did, and they didn't know how to budget or anything, and it's all left to the parents. And then, you know, depending on the parents and the time and, you know, the whole lifestyle, it's whether that does or doesn't get taught. So I think that is a strong thing. And then if that can be taught on a personal level and then maybe explored, because again, I don't know if in school, I know when I was at school, my kids were at school, it was all about you do your education and you go out and get a job. I don't know if there's anything now where you do your education and there's a lesson around you don't have to just go and get a job, you could run your own business. And I do know that that's something down the line that Tara's quite passionate about going into schools and things and giving the opportunity to speak to students of obviously having that experience of setting up a business, whether that is a thing in business studies or whatever might be out there, but definitely financials, which could explore business side, and you don't just have to go and get a job. You could go and run a business, and what's involved in that, and whether that is being, I don't know, or can be brought into the last couple of years of schooling.
Okay. I love that one. Starting to wrap up, and in a minute I'll come with the last sort of 3 questions. But before we go there, what do you love most about running your own business or being part of the business?
I think every day is different. I think having had jobs, even though they've been with people, so again, as in supporting people, every day was still different. But a lot of jobs, and I know from people I know, you go to work, you do the same thing every day, you go home, do your own thing, which actually might be quite nice sometimes to go home and switch off, which you don't generally do when you're running a business. But hey, it's your choice. Yes, I think every day is very different. There's new challenges, there's new wins, there's new I'll use the word excitement again. There's every day is not the same. You know that you've got to do A, B, and C every day or every week, but there's always something thrown in the pot that's either a challenge or a win or just totally unexpected.
Okay.
And I don't know that you necessarily get that with a lot of jobs. So yeah.
Okay. Love that. Great answer. Right. So here are the final 3 questions, and everyone gets the same in this podcast. What would you start with the first one? What would you tell your 10-year-old self now if you
believe in myself?
That one often comes back. Interesting. If you had a chance to start again with the business, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
Get a handle on your figures and your financials as early as you can.
And what's the best bit of advice that you've received? Could be life or business.
That I've received?
Yeah, that you received.
Oh, that's a tricky one, isn't it? I think this is in life and in the business, and that is just, this is ironic, never say no. You can always find out a way or learn a way to do something, and believe that you can.
Oh, on that note, Karen, thank you very much for today's episode. Thanks for being here and for sharing some of your experiences in business.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, that is all that we have for today. So see you next week for another episode of the Epic Business Show. Go be epic.